Hello from Tennessee, still rocking the Bling Master. I am going to follow up on our conversation about value. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to get right into it. I've got a lot of great responses. I wanted to set the tone for this by reading a portion of one of the comments. This comment's from Pete at Not So Obvious Watches, and here it goes. He basically talks about if you are looking for a deal on a watch, that it leads, now I'm quoting directly, it leads you into a paradoxical situation where you can buy watches with great value in case you have to flip them, but of course you'll actually flip them because you don't wear them, and then you never really love them. I think that's great, and I think that really sets some excellent context in terms of value and maybe the nature of it and how we define it. Okay, now to continue on with kind of how everybody looked at the definition of value, I broke the comments into two categories. One was basically a cost and a specs category, and the other one was, and I stole this from somebody, it wasn't I wish I would have thought of it, but I didn't think of it, who used the term magic, and I'm going to give that person credit a little bit later on. So what I ended up doing too is so I separated into those two categories, and then I just did a very brief little bullet point about each our comments to take note of. So under the cost and specs category, there was talk about resale value. Next, there was features at a reasonable price. The third comment was exceeds expectation at a certain price point. Another comment was talked about specs comparison. Bang for the buck was the next one. Investment value and what I get for the money. Okay. So again, that was the cost and specs side of value. Now the magic side, like I like to classify it, is enjoyment you get from wearing, how much I wear and enjoy, great prices on watches I'll love, watch you love within a responsible budget. I thought that was a good one. Magic for the money, and watch I like to wear. Okay, so now what do I think? So I'm going to back up a little bit and go to when I first thought of this question. The first thing I did was I looked up just the textbook definition of value. And I'm by no means an English major. If you guys look at some of my writings, I make mistakes all the time. However, what I came down to was it's really the difference between, as a collector, I think, this is for me at least, but what I kind of came up with is do we use value as a noun or do we use it as a verb? If we use it as a noun, the definition is, one of the definitions is, the regard that something is held to deserve, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. Okay, another one was, this is still under the noun category, a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important. Okay, if we use it as a verb, it's estimate of the monetary worth of something, or secondary one on the verb side was consider someone or something to be important or beneficial or have a high opinion of. So I think that's what it came down to for me, is how I would classify it. So for me, the way that I classify it, I think I classify it as a noun. So with my definition of value, it has to do with like the importance to me of that. Cost doesn't play as much into it for me, or what it's worth so much. And I'm going to share with you the definition that I think I'm going to use as an ongoing definition, and I pulled it right out of the comments. I think Lee came up with an awesome definition that I'm going to share with you in just a sec. Okay, I'm going to read Lee's definition of value now that I thought was spot on and that I'm pretty much adopting for myself at this point in time. As an enthusiast collector, I think you can define value in one of two ways, depending on your intent in acquiring a specific piece. First would be the narrow definition that focuses on investment value. What are the chances that it will be worth more when I want to sell it? The second is the broad definition that asks, how much magic am I getting for the money? The magic quotient is very personal and encompasses factors like design, engineering, wearability, functionality, exclusivity, horological significance, brand identity, and how well it fits into your current collection. Pretty much agree with those sentiments wholeheartedly. And like I said, it seems like people did break into those two categories like I talked about earlier in terms of when we're defining it, talking about cost and specs and magic, the magic quotient. Like I said, I love that. I think that's fantastic. I think the only thing that I would add, which I think is missing from that definition, and I would include sentiment too as well. I'm finding, and this is for me personally, I'm finding as I move through this hobby that sentiment does get attached to watches. I don't know if that happens with everybody. I think it does to some varying degrees, but that's a huge piece for me. Lastly, one other comment worth noting, and I'm going to end on this note. Island Terra, definitely by far the funniest comment was his definition was window shopping is definitely the best bang for the buck. Window shopping is definitely the best bang for the buck. That might be something that I kind of dwell on a little bit more too as well, because if you start unpacking that a little bit, I think for me, it gives that window shopping and looking and what people describe sometimes as the hunt, even though this is intended, Island Terra's comment is meant to be humorous, it does get me thinking too as well about that window shopping and how fun that really is, and how it really is a huge value if you really think about it. So that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate everybody's responses. As always, stay positive, make friends, enjoy the journey. I'm going to drop another question tomorrow on Wednesday. Thanks again, everybody. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.